install this trailing arm cross member. Pretty simple deal here. Just get a couple of the bolts started while I am putting the bolts in. There's 10 bolts in this thing, so it's here to stay. Well, I got this cross member installed here. I'm going to leave the bolts loose until I get everything else installed, and then I'll go back through and tighten everything up. Well, I got this new upper shock bridge that I'm installing here for the upper shocks. It bolts right through the C-notches. So we'll go ahead and get these bolts started. All right, that's in place. Leave that loose as well. These new trailing arms, a lot different than the originals. They are a direct replacement. They go on with these big fine thread bolts that are supplied. These go on pretty simple. A lot nicer stuff to work with than they had in 1965. Go ahead and install the driver's side arm. All right. Again, I'll leave those bolts loose until I get everything attached here. Lower shock bridge now. The new arms. And it goes in with these supplied bolts here. On this lower shock bridge, the driver's side has just a regular straight hole in it to put the bolt in. And they've made it easy for us here on the passenger side, because they went ahead and slotted the hole a little bit, because this can be a real bear to line up for you. We'll go ahead and mount these bags, bottom of the C-notches, where the bag mount is. Come with the supplied hardware here. I already put the 90-degree air fittings in, and they recommend to add some of your own thread sealant to these, even though they do come already with thread sealant. They ask that you add some more on there just for safety's sake, because nobody wants to have to go back through all this just because of an air leak. Really lucky, you might be able to have your wife come out and help you do this, but I wouldn't bank on it. Well, I got the rear end housing ready to be reinstalled on these arms here, so I'll just rotate it into position here and get a couple of the U-bolts started. I can get these started here. I can put a nut on and well, now we can jack up this rear differential so that I can attach the lower trailing arms to the bottom of the air springs. They've given us a couple of longer 3/8 bolts to mount the air spring to the lower trailing arm here. These bolts actually go through the bottom of the trailing arm to mount the air spring to it. All right, now that I got those airbags attached to the bottom of to the lower control arms, I can let the weight off here. I got some wood blocks installed underneath the axle housing, because we really don't want the weight of that rear end hanging down on those airbags. Probably not going to hurt anything, but it's better not to. So now I can take my jack out and all as well. And then they supplied us with some longer bolts that will mount this bracket right to the differential housing. And it makes a better location for the panhard bar. It optimizes some of the suspension geometry. And just get these bolts in the housing here. Then we can put our panhard bar on, which is already supplied and has the right, it's already made the right length and everything. And that's how your panhard bar bracket goes on. They did supply these bump stops in the kit, and it is a good idea that you put them on. They go on the bottom of the C-notch here, and they limit your rear end travel up into the C-notch. If you don't install these bump stops and you want to go as low as possible, you're gonna have to clearance your bed because the rear end housing will go up far enough to contact the bottom of your bed. Okay, I'm gonna slide this bottom one on. Just like the front, these have bearings instead of rubber bushings in them. And they fit really, really tight as opposed to the rubber bushings that can get a little loose. And they supply all the proper aluminum bushings to fit different size shock studs. So as you can see now, I got a nice billet aluminum adjustable shock instead of just a plain steel gas charged shock, which will allow some more tuning for my driving style. Well, now that I've got the front suspension installed, the rear suspension installed, and the only thing I really like having finished is to tighten up all the fasteners, I'm going to go ahead and disassemble everything and have my frame sent out and coated, and then when I get it back, I'll reinstall everything, and then I can tighten everything up to the right torque specifications. Realistically, this is about 1 full day's work. The first half of doing the job was kind of dirty and a little difficult as far as drilling the holes and knocking off those rivets, but after that it was smooth sailing.